You got to have talented players, and they got to believe in each other. You got to trust, and then I think because you care about each other so much, there's special ingredients for teams that can walk off like that. And yeah, this team has earned that. And I think every time you do it, it's kind of fitting you do it the first game of the year, and then the trust and the belief just continues to grow and grow and grow. And it doesn't give you a pass for not playing good, thinking you can always pull it out at the end. But, man, it is nice to have in your back pocket.
When you make a couple mistakes like you guys did in the ninth inning, do you even have to say anything? They know, don't they?
Yeah, I was probably more frustrated that Kamayu tried to make it up on defense, when he's such a good baseball player, and he tried to force a good bunt by their guy, and it's one of those games where as a coach, man, I can do a better job coaching and we can get better. Like we definitely got their attention on areas that we have to improve in. But there's a certain way that we play, and you kind of have to live and die with it. But give both pitching staffs a lot of credit tonight, man. That's you don't see a lot of college baseball games that well pitched, that well played, that low scoring, and you felt like it was going to be a close one as the game kept going on.
Kind of building off that, with it being a midweek game, being such a low score, when you were scouting Kentucky, was that something that you kind of had in the back of your mind which could happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, their pitching numbers are very good again. They've been good the past few years. And their offense is very pesky. They're gonna bunt, they're gonna steal, and if you don't play clean, they'll put a crooked number up on you. So we played a few teams similar to them. And so, I thought we were maybe a little tight, or we pressed, or we maybe tried too hard. But then again, I don't want to take anything away from their guys that played really well.
Tucker's kind of had his struggles this year, but how big was that for him to come in and throw like that?
That's huge. We talk about trust. I think Tucker should know how much we trust him and believe in him and want him to have success. But like I said, give our pitching staff a lot of credit, man. They pitched really well, and even some of the jams that we were in, man, we made some good pitches, and we keep getting better. I feel like our pitching staff keeps getting better, and there was obviously a handful of guys that didn't pitch tonight, but we had a few more guys ready to go if need be.
Jake, a big hit there in that inning, but then Eddie comes up and walks it off. Two guys that you don't mind having in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you talk about the walk-offs, right, as Jake Monroe seems to be in the middle of a lot of them. Eddie King has been in the middle of some, and I probably cost Eddie one at Virginia Tech when I tried to overcoach that night. But, man, you got good players like that, and just let them play. Just let them play.
You said you need to get better. Can you go more deep on that? And
Well,
how a win like this helps you, like motivates a team to get even better?
Yeah, I mean, just manufacturing, one run there. You got the leadoff guy on, and we kind of goof on the bases a little bit, and we don't sit in there and get the bunt down. And I don't mind Alex. There's 2 outs, and they've got a left-on-left tough matchup with 2 strikes. So we're just thinking he's either going to throw a ball in the dirt or this ball's going to get put in play. And so maybe by Alex, running there, he just maybe didn't get as good a jump as I'd like him to get. So you feel like you have their attention now when you do bunt defense, and you do the first and thirds and the things you do in practice. These are the type of teams you're preparing for.
How special is to beat Kentucky and again?
I think it's big. I mean, it's we always say forget the records. I mean, they're still a really good team. The national championship just ended last night, so basketball is officially over. Man, it is. In this state, it is now baseball season, for our fan bases. So it's kind of ironic that we play them, less than 24 hours when the hoop season ends. But of course, we get to play them again in a couple weeks. So I love it, man. It's a fun game. It's a fun rivalry. It's fun for our fans. There's a lot of good players on the field, and so I would imagine it's going to be another battle a couple weeks from now.
Jake kind of alluded to it, but I guess there was some pregame rivalry excitement that happened.
Oh yeah. Some probably coaches being a little immature, and but that's frustration and kind of things that go on behind the scenes, and probably stuff in the recruiting world that people necessarily don't agree with, but that has nothing to do with the players and what you have to do between the lines. You got to throw strikes, make plays, and get timely hits, right? And we just did a little bit better than them tonight.
You talked a little bit this past weekend about how Lucas has even more, stuff in his toolbox than maybe he's always shown, and he showed it off tonight a little bit.
Amen.
That was outstanding, and something that that's a highlight play that might even get overlooked the way the game ends.
Amen. We're not afraid to say it. I mean, we are very, I don't know if arrogant is the right word, but the expectation to play in our outfield with the history of great outfielders that we've had, it's known when we recruit you, and it's known when you're in our program. So the outfielders know, the expectation, and Lucas is one of those elite runners, as we see on the bases, that we haven't. He's been good defensively, but I don't know if you would tell you he's been great, and he's capable of doing things like that, and so when I say there's more in him, there's things like that. There's a few things offensively that he can break out and get better at, but defensively, I hope that might even free him up a little more, help his first step quickness, and just start to show off how great he can be defensively.
Big road series now coming up for you, back into ACC play where every game's important.
Yeah, and NC State is playing well, and yes, the ACC going on the road the next 2 weekends is going to be a challenge, but I do want to make sure we celebrate and we promote next Tuesday's game, because 20 years at Jim Patterson Stadium, we don't have the success. This program wouldn't have the big leaguers and wouldn't have the notoriety it has if it wasn't for Jim Patterson. So the building of this stadium, man, it got me here, and it got a lot of great players here. And so I just want to celebrate it and make sure we we come out and get ready to play our next home game here in front of hopefully a big crowd.
Appreciate it, Dave.